Hello and welcome. And through the magic of editing, we find ourselves in the world of green. Yes. Okay. So here is why we are in green. I recorded the build at Fizz Cannon's place. And I recorded from a couple different angles, different cameras. And I have over 6 hours of footage because the redstone on a server is different than redstone in a single player world. And it took me, well, it took me a while. And quite honestly, I think it's going to be easier to do this build in creative rather than trying to sort through and pick through the footage that I have. And surprisingly, even before doing this video, this episode, I have had people ask me to do a tutorial on it. It's like, how did you read my mind to know that I was doing this episode? Well, obviously Fizz Cannon told you, but yeah, I'm going to try to do this in a little bit of a tutorial type way. I'm not going to be overly detailed, but hopefully it'll be enough so that you can see kind of how my thinking was on getting this wheel of fortune or wheel of unfortune working. So without further ado, I have set up a spoiler-proof box. I am on Mad Ender's realm because of, again, how the redstone works. So I'm in a realm world and I have a anti-spoiler box going. But obviously it is not an anti-piggy box. He can stay here and watch me build. But this is the setting, or the setup that Fizz Cannon gave me. He gave me the lights. He gave me some depth. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the dimensions are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 by about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Something like that. 8. 16 by 8. And so those were the dimensions I had to work with. Okay, so part 1 in my thinking here was to get the lights to go around in a circle. And to do that, you power blocks next to the lights. You don't want to power the lights themselves because they will then wind up powering the light next to them. So, for example, if I do, please ignore the noise if you hear that in the background. If I do that, boom, I'm powering one light and it's powering everybody else around it. However, if I say we power the block, next to the light, we only get one light. So that is exactly what I will be doing. Boom, boom, like that. Except not that. So first of all, we start by putting in our solid blocks. Then we put in our scaffolding for our redstone. We are going to have comparators actually powering these blocks. Actually, we don't need these. Sorry, we don't need those. And then the idea that I had is we get ourselves a circle of hoppers with an item in it that goes around, and as the item goes around, then the comparators pick it up and fire it into the block. On that side, we have our Droppervator. Sure. The way I have this set up, it comes up over here, across, down over here, so we actually kind of start here, right? Yep, we start there. Just so I can crouch. droppers facing up. So if I place an item in this one, there we go. It goes around. And then what we need is the redstone for the Droppervator. And in a single player world, that was pretty easy. Like, really easy. However, on the server, because of timing issues, that became the hardest part for some reason, figuring that out. Because there is a way you do this. Yeah, I mean, you can power a dropper, and it will power the other droppers around it and send your item up, no problem. But what happened is that it would go from this light, completely skip this light, and hop up into here. So you were missing this light being fired. Or the other option, or the other thing that happened, is it would come around here, it would light up this light, it would light up this light, and it would get stuck here and not go any further. So getting it so that it traveled all the way up and then continued around, for some reason, became such a pain. Such a pain. Such a pain. So let us see how I did this. First off, well, the way I did this is we gotta kind of do this in a sequence. Like, slowly take readings off of these to have it go up, to have the item inside go up. So what we do is we take our comparator reading off the dropper, and that goes up into a block. You know what? Let's just leave it in there. There we go. Up into a block, to a repeater, redstone dust around. Okay, that's the first part. So when it comes in, it should get it up to here. Yeah, should get it up to there so that we get the reading on our middle light. Let us try this. Just to make sure. There we go. Okay, so now it's there. It's in here. The next part is we take our reading off of this one and send the signal up into the hopper. Do that. A block. Our comparator again. Yep, I know. And do a block. With most likely redstone dust on top. And I was playing with some of the other redstone items out there. That's why I had the record. Can I do this? Can I do this? Hey, I did it. Okay. And that's firing into like that. So, there we go. There we go. And around it goes. So that is the first part of this. So let's find our shut off, our stopping point, and get it so that it doesn't just keep going. And I will have to say, this is running much nicer than on the server. Okay, so anyway, we are going to stop this right in between lights. So we are actually probably going to stop it here. Right, so to do that, we come block again to the side. Come down to torch on top of that. So now that should be locking this hopper to keep it from pushing the next item through. And then off the torch, we will do a repeater, we'll do a dust, we will come up, cactus there. Another block on top. And to be honest, we can probably shift this around to wherever we need it, but our button is going to go there. Like that. Give me my torch back. Okay, so let's drop an item in here, random item. Yep, okay, so that should be stuck here. It is stuck here. So then, push our button, and it releases our ball to go around. Like that. Okay, so that was the next thing that I had to figure out. And so now, how do we get it to continuously go? Because like if you watch the Wheel of Fortune, or even this reminds me more of the wheel on The Price is Right, it has to go around one full time before landing on a random item, or at least one full time. I can set this so it goes around a few times before choosing a random spot. And the way to do that is to keep this torch here off until the item passes through this hopper again. So it'll go around, it'll pass through, and then this can come on to lock it the second time it goes around. And to do that, it's pretty simple as well. We just put in, oh, forgive me, for I do not know the names of some of these circuits. A pulse extender? Different than a pulse lengthener? I don't know. So we will try this. This is kind of where you play around with some of your timings. That might not be enough, but maybe it is. And then what we are going to do is have a repeater here. Like that. Alright. Let's try this, see what happens. Because honestly, I think that... Nope, not enough. That is what I used on the server. I think I only needed 2. Pretty sure I only needed 2. But let's add a little bit more. Yeah, okay, so it just goes off at the right time as this is clearing that. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so there's that. So now we figure out the randomness. So when this goes around the second time, it will stop on a random light. And that is when we come to the back end here. And then when we get the random number generator, or random item generator, whatever, in, then we will link that up to our hoppers. Because what we will be doing is locking a hopper so that as the item comes in, it will stop at that hopper and output a continuous signal to our lights. And you'll see how I handle this here with this redstone being right next to it in a moment. And then the dropper over here is going to be a special case as well, because we will have to lock the dropper or keep the dropper from continuing the item up. And then when we reset, it's got to be able to fire to get that item up and around again. So this is going to be a special case over here. Nope, come on. Nope. There we go. And so I will show you that part. Yeah. Okay, so and so the only true way I found, I know I'm dragging this out, but the only true way I found of doing this is using a dropper. Fill up the dropper with 8 different stackable items, because a dropper will choose randomly from one of these slots and output it. And then what we do is we send that through an item sorter. And when the item goes through the item sorter, then it triggers one of the repeaters to lock one of the hoppers. I hope that made sense. So what I'm going to do next basically is build an item sorter. The long and short of it, I'm building an item sorter. So this is the back wall of what Fizz gave me, so I will build it right on the back wall. And I will show you one unit, and then you can just copy it over across the length. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over one spot first, and then bring droppers up twice, and then facing in. Yep, so comparator, hopper facing the comparator. I mean, this is a fairly standard item sorter. We're going to have one hopper facing out. Actually, yeah, tell you what, into the back of this dropper we're going to do that, because that's our line. There we go. And those are leading into that, and that's leading into that. Okay, so I'm going to do 2. Yep. And anyway, these hoppers there, they need to be locked. So we are going to do torch. Over here, we're going to do repeater, block, dust, etc. Okay, now what you could do actually is have a line of hoppers coming off of this dropper to the end, but I'm actually going to use a water stream over these, and because it has its own challenges, and I'll show you those. But what I like to do into these item sorter hoppers, which is your top row, put in 8 items that stack to 16. So you put 5 in, but they stack to 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an item that stacks to 64. You just need 3. 1, 2, and when you put the third in, it bumps it down into the bottom hopper. So again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3. And so this way you're not filling up your hoppers with a whole bunch of items that you're trying to sort. And right there's where that third one goes. So I will build this out to the end, and I will fill them up with the stackable items, which are across here, and I will be right back with you. Alright, and here we are. Now, I am going to quickly go over the issues I had with this. So for the moment, let us ignore the ice and this gap and assume that all of these had been close together. All of the hoppers have been close together. So the first issue with this that I found is when this dropper fired, it would oftentimes shoot the item right over these first two hoppers, and they would not get a chance to suck it up and get a reading off of them. So to slow down the item, something that Fizz had suggested is put a half slab there, and that works great. With that there, then the item comes out slow enough that the first two hoppers can pick it up and sort it out. And then the second issue I had found is, even without this here, with just the line of hoppers, our 8 hoppers would end here. Well, an item in the water stream would pretty much, yeah, do you see how it kind of just hopped up a little bit and over because it was kind of sunken in the hopper? Being shot out, they would do this, and they would stop here on number 7 because they were coming here, they were hitting inside the hopper, they'd hop over the edge, and then they'd hop over the next edge and hop over the next edge, and they would lose so much momentum that they were not reaching this 8th hopper, even though they are in the water stream. So to remedy that, I break up the water stream. So I put in some packed ice, a button, and I put in a second water stream right there. And that allows the items to zip over that and have enough momentum to actually reach the end. So I have these in order. So the first item is there. Before I demonstrate that, let me show you how I do this. The auto up thing. So we take a comparator reading off this bottom dropper. That's going up into a block. Up and around and over and through and alright, so a repeater there and dust there and let me move that because I didn't want that there. A torch here. But what we can do, there we go. Okay, so what I can do, that was the first item in my list, so that is actually this first hopper. And you saw this stuff work, so it auto put it back up into here. And I'll show you the last one real quick, just so you see that it moved. It's going to go through the hoppers in the back and do its little thing there. It's right back up into here. So there we go. This is our item sorter. We don't need that there. And honestly, we don't need this one here either. Alright, so what good is this to us? What good is this to us? Well, what we can do now, let's load this up. One of each item. That's just kind of a temporary sort of situation thing. Okay. Okay, last one. And put it right back. Reset. Try again. That one. Okay, good. Reset. Try again. That one. Alright, good. Reset. So that is the basic principle of how we are going to do this. And as each one of these get popped up, they will trigger one of these 8 lines. The trick is to get each of these lines hooked to the proper signal here. And before I forget, this is in the wrong spot. I'm just remembering how I did this. Because this is coming down, not only do we have to lock this hopper that's right across from our comparator, but we have to lock this hopper below to keep it from actually pulling the item as well. So we do that by doing this. The dust locks that, the block locks that. Okay, so there we go. That's how we do that. Sorry. But that's how we're going to do that one. What I want to do now is get these set up. The outputs from here. This is how I was generally doing it. I have some that are coming up. And then these ones I'd have go down, which means these actually need to be full blocks in here. That is how we are going to separate our signal on that side. Over here, it's fairly simple as to what we are going to do. This is just going to be our in, and our in. So let us connect our lines here up to our lights here, and then there will be 2 more lines that we need to run, and that is triggering our generator here when we hit our button here, which will be continuing this line basically on down through, or over through. And so we're just basically looking right now at a creative way of getting all of our lines linked up together. So what we can do, alright, we'll start here. This one would have to go to here. That's kind of, looks to me like a fairly straightforward thing to do, right? Hey, look at that. And then we are going to test it. Does it go? It goes there. Does it lock? Yep, it locks, and it's output. That one was simple. For once, it was simple. Alright. Next, I think I will continue going up, because up is a little easier than not up, I guess you could say. So this one, what's nice with going up is half slabs. And so that should be the second one there. See if it goes all the way. It goes all the way. Does it lock? It locks. Does it turn the light on? It turns the light on. So that one's tested and complete. Next one. Again, we are going to stair step this. Sure its signal length goes all the way, and it does. Alright, so that was not that bad. It looks big, but that's mostly just in terms of trying to get our lines connected. Now the next ones are these guys here. And so what I'm going to do with these, a little bit different. Yep. No. That. And then stick it. Because there's more than one way of sending a signal upwards. Do that. Here's our first one. This one is our first one here. So nope. Whoa. Oh. Sorry. The other world I did. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. Interesting chain reaction thing there, though. Yeah. There we go. So there's that side. And then the middle one. Where's our middle one? Here's our middle one. So that leaves us this last line to trigger these droppers. Okay, so to do this, to connect that line up here, I'm going to come out 2 more, add a block there, so that we're firing into the block itself, not the dropper. And then, like over here where we use the redstone block to send our signal up, there's just enough space here for us to do that. There we go, because that won't go up over here. That fires into the block. That shouldn't go down. Well, let's just try it off. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't go down. That line won't come up. And now that won't come up to here. So, yep, that's how we're going to do it. And that triggers that. So that will lock any items from going past this dropper, because the dropper is already being powered. So if this powers again, it won't do anything. But now we have the issue of getting the item, once it's in here, further along. So real quickly, let's just test this. It should stop. There. And it does. So now when we reset, that's reset. We still have the item in here. So how do we get it to move along? Move along, move along. And so when this redstone block drops, the observer will fire, sending the item on its way. I think the next part we do is to hook the start up to the start on the randomizer, and then we hook in a reset button to reset them all as well. So I think I was a bit mistaken about this circuit here. This was left over from my very first design, and we don't need this. But to connect this to that in the back, what we're going to do, dust to trigger this line. What I'm going to do this a couple different ways. No, what I'm going to do is when this button gets fired, just in case I haven't hit the reset button first, I'm going to add in a little bit of an extra circuit here to make sure these fire and clear before the randomizer goes. So from here, what we are going to do is a comparator coming off of a hopper dropper situation. Like that, just throw an item into here. And to trigger the dropper, we want it to actually be going into a block first, rather than directly into the dropper. Looks about right, like that. So that fires into there and sends all this stuff going. Alright, dust there. Alright, let's try this, see if this works. Ooh, fast. It didn't do a full cycle, I don't think, on that one. So we can slow that down a little bit more, I think. And now is where we start playing with timings. If I need to slow this down. So the way I actually worked the reset button, or at least one way you can work the reset button, let's see, I put it here in the Bedrock video. So what I'm going to do, yep, so I will come up, and because I don't want to trigger those, I'm using half slabs. I'm going to, not there, come over one more, kind of work my way over, put a solid block there. Whole bunch of dust, 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 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just say here we throw in a repeater. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that should do it. And that should keep the randomizer part from firing. a reset. So there you go. That's how you can work it in on this side if you want your buttons close together. So really, I hope you guys found something useful. I hope you were able to follow along. And there you go. The Wheel of Misfortune. See you next time. Bye.